And so I do marketing and PR among many other things. And so I'm going to kind of recap on like what I did to get people's attention when we were launching this game. If you didn't hear about it, then I guess I didn't do a good job. But anyway, so you have to start off with preparation. Set an overarching game plan that kind of covers, when you want to launch, when you want to start talking about it, and all of the stuff in between. Then you want to talk to journalists immediately, as soon as you can. Identify the people that would like games of your genre and are interested in it. So I go on Touch Arcade and I search for Tower Defense, who covered Fieldrunners in the past. I want to talk to all of those people on every single website out there. And I want to talk to them for months. After you do that, you want to figure out what kind of stuff you want to show off. Like which levels will be good, which areas of the different levels will be good, what kind of features do you want to talk about, and when do you want to talk about them in your plan. Because you want to space out when you reveal different information so that you have enough information to reveal a month after you announce your game. And then, something about intro at the bottom there. Alright, so stuff you need in your press kit. You want screenshots, videos, if possible. I kind of winged it and didn't have any videos, but that's cool. And then, of course, the press release. Very exciting stuff. So, I'll cover the press release first. There are a lot of questions about how to write a press release, and it seems all kind of basic, but a lot of journalists out there are willing to tell you what they want to see in the press releases. So, it's kind of like writing a newspaper article when you want all the really important information at the top. In the first two sentences, I like to have game name, platform, release date, and price, because those are the most important facts that the journalists care about. After that, you want to talk about why this game is interesting, what kind of genre it is, why that specific person might want to write about it. And at the ending, you always want to include a little bit about your studio, what you've done in the past, how many people are on your team, where you're located, that kind of fun stuff. And of course, contact info, social media stuff. You want to have Twitter, Facebook, all the fun things. So for the screenshots, I managed to spend 5 days making 4 screenshots, and that sucked. But this is how I did it. You want to make the screenshots so they tell a story. You don't want chaos. You want people to easily be able to identify the different situations happening in the screenshot, and you want them to have to think about what they're seeing. So that it's not just looking at a screenshot, seeing what the game is like, but they actually think about the different parts that you're showing in the screenshot. Then on top of that, you want to have screenshots in the different device resolutions, so you might have retina display, non-retina display, all that stuff sorted out ahead of time for journalists to be easy to post or something. So here's one of the screenshots I had. You can kind of see that I have little clumps of guys, and you can sort of follow them with your eye moving through this shot. Because if I had just taken this in-game as is, it would have just been a long line of guys just plowing through this field, and that doesn't make sense to anyone. Now you can see there's a truck here, and then it explodes over there, and then another shot of a truck, because that's fun. There's some guys going under a bridge, woo. And also, this shot was pretty interesting because I kind of had to organize it, whereas if it was just in-game as is, it would have just been a huge clump of guys running through here, and it would have looked like complete chaos, not made sense to anyone. But instead, you see guys kind of running into the end there, and then there are 2 little clumps, so you can kind of see the progression moving along. And then that big crowd at the end as they're kind of swarming in. So, when you have your press kit, you wanted to have the press release, screenshots, extra art, content, and a README file. I actually looked at what Alchemy did for their most recent press kit. And it was actually done really well. So I copied that.
Checks in the mail, right? Yes.
So when you post a press kit, you want to have it easily available on your site. Someplace that any journalist could access immediately. You want to email all of the press once you have your press kit ready. You want to email all the people that you've already been talking to and make it personal. Say why they would be interested in covering this game. Call out different aspects of the game that they would want to talk about and make it exciting to them. You don't want to seem like an anonymous machine that's just blasting out press emails because that sucks. And of course, in the email, you want to include a link to your press kit. And more importantly, as I learned from John Paulson from Dejabon and other places, you want to include the press release in the email in the body. This is something that I didn't know until recently because people are really, really not willing to download anything that you send them in an email. So if you have the press release immediately available to them, they'll be much happier. And something I also dealt with recently was embargoes. I set an embargo on the Fieldrunners 2 announcement, and I got a ton of flack from a lot of different journalists about it. I don't totally understand why. I thought that was a normal thing to do, but apparently they don't like it. But in the end, it worked out fine for me, so maybe it's good, maybe it's bad.
Can you explain what that is?
An embargo is when you tell them not to release information until a certain date. Yeah. So a lot of people were like, no, this kind of cramps our style. We want to release it when we want to. It's more fun when you get news and it's a race to see who can release it first. But it's like, that's stupid. I want a lot of people to cover us immediately on a certain date. So that's what I did. And now when I'm sending out press releases to people and I'm talking to like 100 different people, I assume that only 10% of them will actually follow up with a story. And that's actually lower than what I've normally observed, but it like keeps the amount of press that you reach out to much higher than it needs to be. So it's just helpful to set expectations that way. And you want to keep track of all the posts that they have. I have it in like an Excel document. I have when they posted it, where they posted it, what they talked about. So it's immediately accessible so that I can then jump into the comments and talk to the fans. And that's like one of the best ways to kind of communicate with the iOS audience.
How do you track what people are saying about you? How
What
do
do
you
you
find out about it? Like, do you do
So Google alerts. And then I just constantly search Google for our name. And then Twitter, lots of Twitter.
For jumping in the comments to talk to fans, are you just like hanging out and just checking all the websites for like 3 days while the announcements are coming out?
Yeah, and I comment on every single fan comment.
Shit.
Yeah, so if anyone has any question, if anyone's like, this looks cool, I'm like, thanks man, I hope you check it out, and that kind of stuff. Because the more comments that happen on any of these pages, people will see that when they're just browsing the site, and they'll immediately know like, oh, this is a hot topic, I should read it. And then the journalists want to write about you more because they're making more money off ads. So besides that, I got a lot of people who just like didn't even respond. I've been talking to people for months, and then suddenly I send them the press release and nothing. And I don't really care because I have a job to do, so I'm going to keep emailing them until they fucking write about us. That's what it is. Okay, that's the end, guys. This is my contact information. If you want to talk to me, I don't have any business cards, so good luck.